When it comes down to the Houston Texans, what we're going to talk about today is that they have a quarterback that's not only a rookie, but this quarterback's been playing like he's been in the league for 10 years. I think when it comes down to this offense, it all goes down to what Shador Sanders does. If Shador Sanders can protect the football and get his line in the right blocking assignments and not give up a lot of sacks or get sacked a lot, turn the ball over, this team is damn near unstoppable. I believe you. I definitely think they're an unstoppable football team. And when they hitting on every cylinder, you can see exactly what they got. The problem with this team is they still got a high ceiling. Like these kids are young. You're looking at rookies and first year players all the way across the starting lineup. Like this is the youngest football team in the NFL, and Coach Prime set out to do exactly what he said he was going to do when he got to this part. Right? He said after the offseason happened and they got through preseason and training camp that this team will be the youngest football team to do some things that no other football team with this type of young talent on it has done. And they're here. They're right at this game right now. And when you battle it out with the likes of a Patrick Mahomes, who's arguably the best quarterback in the league, and you go 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in that ball game, that explains a lot. When your running back averaging 10.9 yards a carry on 14 carries, 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, it tells you a lot, right? They also got a big time backup in Alton McCaskill that also can get things done in the run game, along with Shador Sanders running the football as well. But when we talk about Jimmy Horn Jr., is a man child out there. He is very fast, very unstoppable. He is the new Tyreek Hill of the league. 10 catches, 240 yards, 24 yards catch, 4 touchdowns. And they take turns, right? DW with 6 catches, 80 yards and a touchdown. You got Brock Bowers, 1 catch, 70 yards and a touchdown in this game. Marvin Harrison also kicked in 3 catches, 45 yards and a touchdown in this ball game. And that's the storyline. Their receiving game changes how they play. They only had to play in the divisional round. They beat that game, and then they get the matchup for the only team that beat them this year. And they come out and they do it again. 6 touchdowns, 3 INTs, sacked 3 times. But they sacked Tanner McKee 10 times in this ball game. 1 touchdown, he threw 7 INTs. So that's a turnover machine going on right now. And as long as they play that way, Israel with 93 yards, 3 touchdowns in the ball game. McCaskill kicked in with 11.7 yards a carry, and Shador Sanders also gave them 14.3 yards a carry and a touchdown in the ball game. When you look at the receivers, it was the Marvin Harrison and DW show. 5 catches apiece for both of those guys. Both of them had 133, 122, 4 touchdowns from Marvin Harrison in this ball game. Jimmy Horn kicked in with a touchdown, and Maffa from out the backfield with another touchdown. So this team is that. But when you talk about this team, it's the defense that makes this team tick. They give up a lot of passing yards in the passing game, but they bend but don't break. They will take the ball away from you, and they do put points on the board as a defense. And that's what makes this team dangerous, and that's why they are playing in the Super Bowl. Because when you got two bookend DNs that can come off the edge, right? Yaya Diaby. Not only Yaya, you also got Donald there. Elliot Donald, the younger nephew of Aaron Donald, who does a great job at DN for this team. But Yaya is the man when it comes down to the 4 down linemen. At the linebacker position, you got Will Anderson, who gets to the quarterback as well, right? Both these guys had big days in the second game. 9 tackles for loss, 8 tackles for loss from Will Anderson. Both 5.5 and 4.5 sacks. When they get into the quarterback, they make the offense turn the ball over. Simple as that. Christian Gonzalez led the league in interceptions this year with 21 in the regular season. James Williams is a big time do-it-all safety for them. Kennedy does a really good job at it. He returns more touchdowns than anybody in the league, right? He picks up fumbles, he picks off interceptions, and he just find a way in the end zone. And then Derek Stingley is when it comes down to corners, best corners on the team. Who is the best? Is it Gonzalez? Is it Stingley? Stingley is second on the team in interceptions, and he was just as close to having a record as Gonzalez was. And then at the other safety position, who they got do it all, their star guy, and Shiloh Sanders. Skadime, Shiloh Sanders not only make tackles and play really well in a one game, they show when they changed his position from a back deep safety to let him play nickel and in the box and back deep as well, his game turned up, right? His interception total turned up, and he's been a better weapon for them, being able to move him all around, all over the place. I think they found his niche and what he does best on defense, and he's becoming one of the leaders of this defense, right? You come out of the AFC Championship game with 10 tackles. That's not something easy to do from that position. So I like this defense. They got a bunch of playmakers running around. The question will be, will the stage be too big for them? They've shown all year long that the stage wasn't too big for them, right? Is the pressure on them being the number one seed, the number one team in the NFL, and having to beat the Giants, right? And this Giants team is well coached, well put together, very disciplined, and they do all the little things right. And when you're playing a team that's a super young team that can get really distracted from being young, and they can find ways of doing things wrong, right? Let's talk about the season that the Houston Texans had. As good as they've been in the first two quarters, the third and fourth has been very, very, very much their Achilles heel or their kryptonite, right? The second and third quarters, they are really, really a mistake team. And I'm gonna say this because of this. Stats don't lie, numbers don't lie, right? And the problem is we think they get jump up on teams so fast they lose focus. They think they got the game won, and that's just youth, right? That's just not understanding the finish. And this is what Coach Prime has been talking about. Finish. Dominate means dominate for 4 quarters. Dominate means dominate during practice. Dominate every rep. Dominate every chance you get on the field. Dominate. And they've been letting up. They come out and they get laxical and they start turning the ball over. They're not gelled into putting drives together or even getting guys off the field. And if you do that with this New York Giants team, you're going to be in for a long day. I think this is a great Super Bowl matchup. We got totally two different teams with two different styles of play. How is it going to be? You can't talk about this game without talking about the coordinators. So when I'm a first start, I'm gonna start with the Giants coordinator, and we talking about he used to be the Baltimore Ravens coordinator, right? And he wants to send it, right? They want to blitz. They want to blitz, and man pressure. And I think that falls right into the hands of who I'm going to talk about next, which is Sean Lewis. That tempo, the way they run their offense, you can't get comfortable to blitz them. They're not going to be able to get their stunts in. They're not going to be able to get substitutions in. They're going to have to be base and get to that things they want to do on base defense. Sean Lewis applies pressure on any defensive coordinator, not only because of the speed of the offense and how fast they go, the weapons they have, and then the different weapons they can get the ball to. And so they always have an answer for the question the defense presents them. And as long as he got his guys thinking the right way, moving the right way, and just allow the game to come to them, this team is very unstoppable. There's no defense that really they haven't seen that they can't really, find a way to really conquer it. Offensively, it comes down to this: Saquon Barkley. Can the Texans get them off the field? Can Saquon Barkley be held under his average throughout the playoffs? If he can be held under wraps, and I don't see them doing that because he's a very good running back, and they got a really good offensive line to help him out with the things he do. As long as he's running the football, Justin Herbert becomes one of the better quarterbacks in the league on play action and getting the ball downfield to his young weapons. This matchup to me can go any way. You got guys on both sides of the field, but I think as a whole, the Giants want to continue to play the football they play. They can play a close game. They can play a big time win, right? Throughout the playoffs, they had a 1 point win, they had a 2 point win, and then they had a 17 point win to go into the Super Bowl, right? The Houston Texans haven't been under pressure at all. Their two playoff games have been blowouts, right? They only give up 10 points against the Colts and 28 against Patrick Mahomes in that offense, right? They are doing whatever they want to teams. What happens if the Giants can make this a close ball game? Can the Houston Texans find a way out of that situation? Right? They're used to being up all the time on teams and really not being in a situation where the game is really close and they have to really fight it out. So if I'm the Giants and I'm their defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, you want this game to be a really good game going into the fourth quarter. You want it to be a close game because if it's a close game, this game goes into the Giants' hands. As simple as that. And if you're the Houston Texans, Coach Prime, you want your team to come out the way they always come out and put it on you and then come out in the second half and finish. Everything's at stake right now, right? So I don't see neither one of these teams letting up at all. I think both teams know what's on stake, from coaches to players. They know what's the stake, right? To be the team to host the Lombardi Trophy. Who's going to do that? How that's going to be done? My key players of the game, let's get to it. I think in this game is going to be Shedeur Sanders on the Houston Texans offense. Can Shedeur Sanders do the things he need to do to keep his team in front of the sticks and on the scoreboard? For the offense of the New York Giants, I do think it's going to come down to Saquon Barkley and that offensive line. Can Saquon Barkley have a day where he can keep them moving the sticks through the run game? And if you make it hard for them to stop the run, it gets a little bit pressure because they play a lot of man-to-man. If Saquon's killing them in the run game, they're going to have to start playing some zone to get their DBs to start helping out in tackles, right, in tackle situations. And if you put them in the zone, then I think it makes it better for Justin Herbert. That's exactly what they want this Houston Texans team to do. Have to play assignment football and not allow their athleticness and their skill set to just overpower you. They want guys to have to think. If you make this defense think and they're not being able to fly around the way they used to, to, then things can change and things can be up. So we'll see. I'm picking the New York Giants in this game. Skedaddles. I'm not going with the Giants. I'm going with the Houston Texans, and I don't even think this game is close. When we get back, the national anthem.